All right, hi, John. John, we're gonna kick the ball over to you for your updates. Since we're all still eating, or many of us.
Very good. So, the most interesting and innovative thing that's happened in the St. Croix Valley this spring, in my opinion, is a project from the University of Wisconsin River Falls music screen and stage screen and music department. And George actually featured it in the Wisconsin Arts News. So the department put together a small orchestra, 30 pieces, I think, with students, faculty, area instructors, alumni, to do a recording session for 3 student compositions. So that's not all that necessarily innovative, but 2 of the compositions were for video games. And the other was for a film. The director had actually composed the score for a short film of his. Not being a gamer, I am totally removed from this and hadn't really thought about music for video games at all, but it's a thing, right?
Yeah, in our big,
And a young man who I've played many concerts with is a fine trumpet player, and he said, when I asked him what he wanted to do last year, he said, "Oh, I want to compose video game music." And I said, "You know, really? For a living?" And the hope is that they will combine the resources with UW Stout that has a game creation program. So who knew? Not me, but really, really interesting stuff. And how great to have that in their portfolios as they go out job hunting. Phipps Center for the Arts is doing a new ballet this summer of Cinderella, and it's their own creation. And then up in St. Croix Falls, Festival Theater will be doing a new show for me, is by Kate Hamill, by Ms. Holmes and Ms. Watson, Apartment 2B, which could be interesting. That's my report.
All right, Lynn.
good.
So many of you met Mary Burns, who is a fiber artist and lives in Manitowish. When we did a tour up there, and she has done 2 different weavings, jacquard weavings. One is women portraits from around the world, and then the other is the water, women of water, and are from around the world, and also artisanal women. The artisanal women are in Cambridge right now, England. And so she's really moved from little tiny Manitowish to around the world. She's, and her if you ever get the chance to see her other ones on the end of May, the Women in Water is at the Miller Art Museum in Sturgeon Bay. So it's worth going to see those. And then our area has, which many do, have the art tours. And so the Northwoods Art Tour is doing its 25th anniversary this year. They have 34 studios, but in their some of those studios, they have more than one person. So it's a really nice, you go down all the way down to Tomahawk and all the way up through northern Wisconsin and smaller communities. And then in Washburn, they have their 4th annual Plein Air Festival, which is coming up in June 14th. And then Arts in Hand, which is in Spooner, is doing an evening of celebrating the blues. And that, I thought it was really interesting because they're doing it, it's an artist that's doing the blues in the gallery. His name is Roger Nielsen, but they're also having a 5-course catering, which will be sharing all culinary skills with Southern soul food bites to go along with this. I thought that was just really, really neat, and music besides. So, and, then finally, in little old Land O'Lakes are 915 people. We have a woman who, has just become a member of ICOM, which is a global organization of museum and museum professionals committed to the promotion and protection of the cultural heritage, founded in 46 in Paris, France. And Elena was a museum curator in Bulgaria, moved over to this country and is now moved up to Land O'Lakes. And she has curated with a visual artist, and she has fiber arts. Because Bulgaria, many of their works have a lot of embroidery and socks. Who knew? Socks is a really important thing. It's a wedding gift they give. That's a traditional wedding gift, but the socks are very decorated and beautiful. And so she's done, actually, she did a little curated show up in Lola with her clothing. But she does with this other artist who, the visual arts, which she's planning to do up by us. The artist has, besides the painting in it, is fiber art throughout the painting. So that's what's going in our little area.
You have it the whole month.
I tried. Dear God, I tried. That's my area.
Karen, eh?
Well, let's see, holy buckets, that was pretty impressive.
That's good to use. A lot of your time.
I'm gonna hug her for that later. So, I think you all know that I consider my, territory to be Native Arts across Wisconsin. And so I'm gonna let you know that, on August 2nd, anybody who's in the area of Taliesin is welcome to come out, because we're doing, a day, a Native Arts Day out there. And so there'll be Native artists from across the state that are gonna be there interacting with folks. We had done, a pilot of it last year, and you know, no disrespect to Frank Lloyd Wright, but that building is in horrible shape.
Oh,
And yeah, it is. So we were in the studio and it's just all musty, and I'm like, you cannot expect people to go up these stairs, they're crumbling. But you know, they're working on trying to get that back together. So anyways, I think we're gonna be out on the lawn or else in a different room rather than the artist studio. So August 2nd, come to Taliesin and visit with us. I want to tell you that one of the artists that will be there is Dawn Dark Mountain, but she is also going to be featured at UW Oshkosh in either a 1 or a 2-woman show in October. So that'll be a beautiful opening. She's an incredible watercolorist. She does have a national reputation, but her husband, well, she was born in Milwaukee. She lived her adult life in Monona and then went back to Santa Fe where she had done her schoolwork a few years ago. So she's coming home. She's coming home to do that exhibit at UW Oshkosh. So that'll be nice. I want to tell you, if you come to Stevens Point in maybe later this fall, there's a new piece of a green circle trail that's being installed. And rather than doing typical wayfinding sign, the decision has been made to use artwork, prose, and poetry as a way to help people wayfind, navigate that space. And the idea is to take the human being out of it and give the land itself in all its various forms a way to communicate with the visitors of that area. And the best way to do that is artwork and poetry. So we have a couple of Native artists who are handling that for us. And the last thing I want to say is that in that lovely book that just went around, if you look on page 39, one of our fabulous panelists, Lewis B. Clark III, there's a book review of a really wonderful book that he's written, How to Be an Indian in the 21st Century.
I know.
Cool. Yeah.
I recommend it.
He's, yep, he's funny, he's intelligent, he's, from Wisconsin. He's a great artist, a poet and a writer. So, check him out. And that's gonna conclude my presentation for today.
Can we call out that artist?
You can, but I keep,
Just
but thank
awarded.
you, thank you.
School of Advanced Research. Karen Ann is one of the 2025, 2026 Native Arts Fellows.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. It's a pretty competitive award, so that is pretty cool. I'll have the opportunity. They're gonna bring me out for 3 months. And then the expectation is that I do 3 months worth of research.
Well, they really, that's their expectation, but what are you really gonna do there?
So you're committed to spending 90% of your time in studio, on campus, or in archives, and so actually I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, because they have probably North America's best collection of indigenous pottery.
Ooh.
And so that kind of aligns with some of the work that I'm known for.
Yeah,
And so there will be this conversation between art forms shaped like women's wombs. Yeah, yeah, and so I'm excited to see what'll come out of that.
And one of 3 artists selected, so that's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
there's
Thank you. So there's only one for this particular fellowship, the other 2
Okay.
have other
Oh, so
responsibilities,
it's just
so
you.
it's just me. Yeah.
Amazing.
it's never just.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations, that's
Okay,
amazing.
Thank you,
That's
thank you, I
amazing.
appreciate that, yeah, I appreciate that. So, thank you, Kate.
Oh.
Susan,
Gosh, I don't even know where to start. I've been overwhelmed. I have been doing, I've been raising money for the arts.
Good
That's
for you.
kind of what I do. Raised $320,000 for the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra at, we did an event called Concerts and Cuisine, which is my own idea that I stole from myself. I used to do it for Circus World, and over a period of 12 years, raised more money than you've ever imagined for Circus World. So I decided to steal my own idea because the Chamber Orchestra performs a thing called Concert on the Square every summer for somewhere between 40 and 50,000 a week for 6 weeks.
I
And
can't hardly envision that.
it's huge. And it's now going all the way around the square
Wow.
where, nobody can see the orchestra from there. So now we've got screens and sound systems that go all the way around.
That's awesome.
So nobody pays for it. It's a freebie. So I thought, I'm gonna help.
somebody pays for it.
Yeah. So I decided to create an event that would help pay for it. And so we tried, and so we did that at Monona Terrace. We had 34 chefs all competing against each other. And for best appetizer, best entree, best dessert, and best non-alcoholic drink, which turned out to be so successful that hardly anybody used Monona Terrace's bar.
How they feel about that?
I really care.
That's right.
Because this was, we did it and we raised money and it was very successful. We had 540 people, which is totally amazing because last year we had 400. So every year that I've done it now, we've raised more money and raised more people and awareness. So, and people don't, they don't get that somebody has to pay all those musicians that play every week for free. I mean, for them.
That's why we always say, as Brian said, it's not free, it's free to you as an audience.
Right.
But
Yeah.
somebody's paying, and that's part of the magic question. People see it and they say, oh, that's magical, and it's free, that's wonderful. And they don't process that you gotta pay the musicians, somebody's gotta clean up the ground.
Oh,
somebody's
right.
gotta- So,
It's really funny because you all saw Diane Ballwig's name on this building. Diane Ballwig will be there schlepping chairs and tables and she's got a little badge that says Diane Ballwig Schlepper. And I mean, here is a woman who absolutely does not have to do that, but does it, So Concert on the Square is a big deal. And if anybody on this team would love to be a part of it, I buy a table every week. So please come and join us. Just let me know a week or two in advance, and I would love to have you. The other thing that I did 2 weeks after I finished that one, I did another big one for Capital City Theater at Full Compass. And that's another thing that we try to do is do events for different theaters, for different nonprofit organizations at Full Compass, where I pick up the tab. And so it turned out that was also a huge success for them. They had never actually made money doing anything. They do some of the best work in town, and nobody knows it because they just had 10 years and they're doing fantastic theater. Nobody knows. So that's another place. If anybody wants to see anything in Madison, I buy 4 tickets to everything. I mean, literally, I have 4 tickets for tomorrow, you know. And so I just take people. So join us anytime. So I do a lot of that kind of thing. By the way, I went to My Ads fundraiser. They did a really good job last week. And I felt terrible that I missed the one thing I was bidding on heavily. And somebody at the last second, I hear that, went over the top. And it was Guido Brink, and Guido Brink was my major professor when I went to Layton School of Art. And we're talking, Layton's been out of business for over 50 years. And so I want another piece of Guido. I'd never seen his work. And then I looked at my own and his, and I'm not sure who started, because his work and my work looked exactly the same as a painter. Is that weird?
No.
Yeah, I think that's all I have right now. I'm tired.
All right, in Door County, Third Avenue Playworks just opened Jeffrey Hatcher's 3 viewings. So it's nice having the things starting to wake back up. There are certainly organizations that remain operational year round and producing or having exhibits, etc. But Door County is known primarily for the summer, autumn, really producing or exhibits. But again, there are wonderful galleries, etc., and that are open year round. A recent opening in Sturgeon Bay, recent being the past year, would be Muse in Sturgeon Bay, which is focused on, it's a brand new 501c3, and it's on the corner of 3rd and Jefferson. And they are focusing on music and for facilitating a space for music instruction outside the school, traditional school systems, and a place for concerts, etc. There's apartments upstairs. It's a private developer who had that. And so that it provides housing, and I believe Third Avenue Playworks uses some of the housing above there for housing of their acting company. Tomorrow we have about 100 people coming to the Players for our spring cleanup as we get ourselves ready to welcome our full company and get things kicked off and moving forward. I've been having great conversations with Door County Medical Center on doing a beta of what social prescription could look like as we wait for Art Pharmacy to enter the state, knock on wood, because we need them. But it's been a great, I had a meeting in December and they were very eager to talk about this. And so we're testing it in their Sister Bay clinic. And we're measuring about 25 people we're hoping to impact this first year of just seeing how does this work. But we want to start small and starting with just us so that we can work out the kinks before something like this could expand out. Our pharmacy, should funding come through and everything go well, timeline would be 2027, January 2027, I believe is when. Yeah, so we're not trying to create something that's already been created and worked out beautifully that our pharmacy does. So we are looking to see how that goes, and Door County is a small place, and so after our second meeting, I got an email from the Peninsula Pulse, the editor saying, hey, I hear you're starting a program with Door County Medical Center, and I'm like, how is this even possible? It's a small community, so word gets out, but I know that there's other members of the Peninsula Humanities Alliance who are very excited about participating in something like this, so it'll never be a barrier for organizations in Door County willing to participate in finding ways to participate so that we can get to the exact art or cultural medium that best matches with them. You know, if you're dealing with depression, they have the DNA testing they can do on you now to make sure they're prescribing the right antidepressant to you that works with your brain chemistry. And I think we need to look at that in this way that we're prescribing art as well, making sure that you're tying someone into the right art for cultural experience. But it's great to see the various people of the community that were pulled together into this conversation. So I've been in touch with George on this to make sure that no one thinks that we're doing something that's outside of the initiative for art pharmacy, et cetera. And you know, there's a member of UW Extension in our community who is on this committee as well, and he's been such a great resource, and he's going to be looking at the tallying results and seeing how, looking at the impact side of this. So it's our hope that we can use this to better and further social prescription statewide and how that would look with our pharmacy. And hopefully give some examples within rural communities as this isn't just something for the city. This is very much important for rural areas where people are dealing not just with social isolation, they're dealing with physical isolation as well. And how we can better work to mend that barrier or cross it over. So we'll see. I'm very optimistic and excited about this. And working for it to be successful. Other than that, there's Door County is rolling forward to welcome folks back in, and there are so many opportunities within Door County. So I don't want to misspeak on any of the other organizations that are out there, but there's a lot of exciting things happening in the county.
Can I add one thing to that?
Of course you may.
There's a really cool, new thing happening called, Door County Contemporary, started by 4 Milwaukee artists, and they have gathered some really top-notch galleries from Chicago, Milwaukee, and, Minneapolis for a weekend coming up in June. So it's just a really great, another example of that, you know, cross and flow between, urban and rural. I think is really important because they've got some really, really great galleries coming up there. There's a whole bunch of them, so it just looks like a great event.
I just went in, I'm going to it right now, to go and look at this. I'm like,
In the arts news yesterday for the first time as well.
excellent, excellent. All right, well, that is all of the updates from board members. We can now jump into our old business. I really don't have a board chairs report. I don't think I have anything else to share except please advocate for the arts. Talk to your local representatives, explain what's going on. Please remain calm, level-headed as the rest of this all shakes out, and that we're constantly putting our best foot forward and not fanning the flames, but making sure that we are coming across reasonable and rational and letting them know exactly the critical nature the arts play at every level of the community. Yes.
I'm just wondering if anybody has talked to Mark Pocan.
I have not spoken to
Nobody?
And cats may have.
yeah, I'm sure.
Well, I'm just wondering if more than one person does, it would be helpful at all.
Be my hope that constituents and
I mean, Mark and Tammy are really on our side for everything. And so, and I haven't even talked to Tammy in the last few months. So I'm wondering if we should all be reaching out to the people who give a damn.
Mhm.
You know, these are the people that do. You know, in Milwaukee, you've got, what's his name? Johnson.
It's important that,
It's horrible.
that we don't take from the brand, I guess. is what I would say about
That's a good way of putting it.
yeah,
that.
Yeah, we can't- but we have to keep asking. and asking and
Yeah.
asking and.
Yeah,
Motion to advocate.
The underscoring of what you're saying about keeping a level head. The difference is kind, like culture wars, when they were culture wars, were all about the arts and humanities. Now, everything is under attack.
That's right.
Yeah,
And so it's very difficult to say, look at what they've done to the arts, because then the scientists go, hello?
wait a minute, look what they did to my business.
Yeah.
Every single thing I have in my stock, 900 different lines of equipment, have a piece made in either China or Mexico.
Yeah.
Including Shure that comes from Chicago.
Mhm.
Half their microphones inside are coming from a different country. So,
Right, and so it even underscores more the point that as we do this, to do it in the dramatic arts related way that says, look at what they've done to us. It's insensitive to everybody else who
Right.
got under some sort of attack as well, so. it makes sense.
everybody is being taxed.
Yes. So thank you for the work that you're doing and the conversations that you're having and the education that we continually need to do to help better get folks to better understand the critical nature that we play, not just, when people think art's nice to look at, et cetera. It's everything that goes behind it, the cultural side of it, whether it's our indigenous culture, whether it is, I don't know, very modern and contemporary. You should look at this, and it's Peninsula School of Art for all that's taking place. For dark night into career, yeah. I just think it's important that we continually talk about the cultural, the health, the economic, et cetera. That it's such an encompassing expression of existence, and how critical that is, and how we have to make sure that stories are not being lost or erased. So, yeah, that's what I really have for the chair's report. I think other things have been discussed as we've gone, and we've already done the 50th anniversary grant recommendation, so I've asked the both of you for your report.
So you have the list of activities from the staff. And it's really interesting with all the stuff that's going on. I'll point to a couple things from me, and that the two of them actually are. Arts Midwest just brought on a new board member from Milwaukee. Emily Tao from David Crowley's office. Yeah,
Oh, all right.
so,
There you
so I had a chance to meet with her for coffee, and she was excited to roll up her sleeves and get involved in the conversation about the art, background in theater, and so it's been interesting to see her start her journey with art. And I asked her, I said, how did you find your way to Arts Midwest? Because it wasn't on our relationship at all. So Barbara Lawton recruited a guy named Michael Vincent, who was from Green Bay. And when Michael Vincent was stepping off the board of Arts Midwest, they asked him, so who would you recommend? And he recommended that. Which is how that happened. So that
Isn't
was
she the community engagement person for the
for the county.
county
executive.
executive's
Yes.
office?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And then the only other thing I'll say is, we've talked a lot about the advocacy stuff and the education stuff. NASA asked me to participate in a panel where we discussed arts and tourism. And so I had the opportunity to do that and share the Wisconsin story, and, I talk about our relationship with tourism versus, Nevada's relationship with tourism versus Texas's relationship. And so it was a very nice conversation. I was happy to be asked. And
And you did a very nice job.
it's good to be able to talk about it for our colleagues who need it sometimes to be demystified. We're gonna talk to tourism. Well, we live with tourism.
Yeah,
It's a different kind of relationship, so. Sure. But yeah, so as we begin our journey, now that we've scaled the May meeting and we start looking towards September, we're looking forward to working with Jane to set a time to come down and scope out the Kenosha Racine area. And so we'll do that, and we'll engage our friend Bernberg, who, by the way, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I called him and had a really great conversation with Bruce. Bruce Winberg, when I first joined the Wisconsin Arts Board in 2013, And he remains active, informed, and speaking with Barbara Lawton. And an incredible resource for us to have. There's so many former board members that are excellent resources for us to keep with us, but
So,
I was sharing with him because he is in Speaker Boss's district. So,
okay.
and I shared my conversation that I had and what I had heard, so.
And I felt that it was important for Brian to share it rather than me, because it would have been a step removed from actually hearing. And being to reflect on that conversation. But yes, so we're gonna go and we're gonna have Jane guide us around and we'll start to shape a meeting for you. In September, remember that's what, the 12th and 13th, if I'm remembering correctly?
There's the 13th and 14th.
12th and 13th.
12th and 13th. Okay.
So-
There's Friday.
It's a Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
So make sure you've got that on your calendar so you don't miss it. And we'll also remind you that in December, but then again in March, we'll be in Milwaukee because of WIGCOT being in Milwaukee in March 26th, 2026. Having said that, we've offered ourselves to the secretary and asked her to put forward to Peggy, Visit Milwaukee, that the Arts Board stands ready to help bring the arts to the forefront of the Milwaukee conference when it's happening. We don't impose ourselves on people, but if they want us to, we'll certainly be involved. So if you, LaShondra, getting into meetings with her and you want a reminder of that, that would be great.
I will every time. She's already roped me in, of course.
Okay, very good.
I know Peggy.
Well, I have-
And if we know anything about, if this year's WIGCOT final dinner is any indication of what future ones might look like when it was Denim and Diamonds, St. Patrick's Day is the
Oh, no.
final dinner, so.
Well, I definitely have green.
So yeah, so I think those are the things to flag going forward. Say hello to Dale. Dale's been watching us. all
Hi,
day.
Dale. Show your face.
Yeah, no.
He's-
Just started.
Out on the veranda.
It's on the
Nice.
veranda on Mackinac. Very nice.
He often shares himself from there during our staff meeting.
Very nice. Smells like horse up there.
Oh, no.
All right.
Father, good to see you. We look forward to seeing you next time in person.
One of these times we miss you.
Sorry,
We miss you.
but I miss being there.
Well, do something about that. Excellent.
All right, so we should say, what's up next?
But we have new business before we adjourn.
Yeah, no,
Just making sure.
yeah, go ahead.
All right, anybody have any new business? Hearing none before we adjourn, if we want to get the tour update and then we can adjourn. Can we officially adjourn without a quorum? We can adjourn in the meeting as to who's here, yeah?
I think,